What followed still haunts me. He began to slit his forearm next to 3 other scars from previous assumed self-inflicted cuts and let out a disturbing moan. I managed to choke out the words,
No!
Said, "Get out of the car. I want to show you something."
Oh my.
I told him no, and he raised his knife.
He cut himself and let him moan. I can't do this.
Threat.
What is going on? Slice Gang, do your thing. Hit that like on the video. Gang! Slice Gang, do your thing. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe. Jay Electric here, and you guys are watching Slice Gang TV, where I react to everything from the moon and back and everything scary as crap. And today, I got a special episode for you guys. I'm launching the new Scary AF series. We got 3 creepy, true hitchhiking horror stories today. I'm really nervous for this, guys. I wanted to wait. I wanted to wait till it got dark outside to do this video. This series, I'm gonna start doing them after hours once the sun drops. This is gonna be a creepy series. I'm gonna come at you guys with scary videos, hopefully every single Sunday. Like I said, title of the video is called 3 Creepy Hitchhiker Stories. These are true stories. If you guys like creepy, scary stuff, you guys found the right channel. Alright guys, without wasting any more time, let's jump into this. It's starting to get creepy and I'm scared. Hitchhiker Stories. Let's go!
So this was told to me by an old family friend, Nikki, numerous times as a kid growing up, as one of those life advice stories to keep in mind through the years. And to her credit, I've never forgotten it. Whenever anything associated with hitchhiking comes up, it always springs to mind, and probably always will. Even makes me a bit ill whenever I think about it, actually. So Nikki, who grew up at the same time as my dad, so this was about early 80s, I believe, she was a young woman in her mid-20s. She's one of those real kind-hearted souls, always willing to help another out in the time of need, you know? And I can't imagine her being anything other than that when she was younger, so I totally see her doing this too. So driving into the city, which was about a 2-hour drive from town, she saw a man walking down the side of the road. As she neared, he turned and, in typical hitchhiker manner, stuck out the old arm and thumb. Nikki, bless her heart, pulled over and asked him if he needed any help. She told me he was really polite, if not a bit shy, when he asked for a lift into the city. Nikki gave a smile and popped open the passenger door for the guy, who then tossed his bag into the back seat and buckled up for the ride ahead. They talked pleasantly for most of the trip, about friends, the news, etc. You know, happy small talk. She felt that they were getting along very well, and even bought him dinner at the pit stop a little over halfway there. She says he seemed really flustered and awkward when she paid, but one of the things they talked about was money and how he was pretty damn strapped for cash, which was why he was hitchhiking in the first place. But he eventually relented and they went on their way.
Don't you dare say he
asked for money. As soon as they got into the city, he thanked her profusely for the ride and the food and asked to be dropped off once they hit downtown. Before getting out, he asked for Nikki's phone number so he could contact her one day and maybe catch up.
Plenty of people, so
thrilled at the prospect of knowing how her new friend was faring, Nikki wrote it down for him and drove off with the warm feeling of having done a good deed. Now, I'm sorry if you were expecting something creepy to have happened by now, but I think this is what freaked me out so much as a kid. How nice everything seemed to have worked out.
What?
Nikki gets this crease in her forehead and a funny look in her eye when she tells me this next part.
This is scary.
How a week later, she got a phone call from the same man she had picked up. He didn't let her get a word in edgewise after hello, and told her that she should thank God that she was raised so nice, because when he first got in the car, he was planning on raping and murdering her once they got to that pit stop. That he was going to steal that car and dump her body in a ditch further down the road and go on his merry way. But after she talked with him so kindly and even treated him to dinner with a smile on her face, he couldn't bring himself to do it. He didn't think that he could live with himself after doing that to such a nice lady. The man's final words on the phone were,
"Fuck no.
Please, Nikki, please, never ever pick up another hitchhiker."
Alexa, I gotta
Then
call
he
my
hung
wife
up the
down here to
phone.
watch this with me."
I've learned one thing from my one and only experience picking up a hitchhiker.
Okay, the first time
Don't
he picks
pick
up a
up a
hitchhiker, this
hitchhiker.
happens.
It was a Saturday night, probably around 1 in the morning.
1 a.m.
I was driving
Now, keep
down
in mind, guys, these
542
are
in
true
New
stories.
Jersey, a route I commonly took to get into town. It was a long stretch of nothing but woods on either side with the occasional residence.
Okay.
I was on my way
Sounds
back
like a
home
back
from
road,
town.
typical
and
back
as
road that I
usual
would
at this
take.
time of night around our
My
quiet
area.
old town, there was not a single other car on the road. I turned on the off-road lights on my Jeep to have optimal vision on the unlit highway, which allowed me to spot somebody far down the road,
Okay.
just
His
standing
highlights
at
on.
the side. As I got closer, I saw him raise his arm up and stick up his thumb. He was trying to hitch a ride. My heart started racing. I had no idea if I should stop or
I would
not.
just race off. I would not pick up a
I
pick up a
slowed
guy
down
at
just to
1
get a
a.m.
better look
Forget
at the
that.
guy, first of all. He seemed like a younger man, maybe 28. He had on a light gray hoodie with the hood over his head and blue denim jeans. The time
Basic
to make
guy.
a decision was immediate, and with a lack of my better judgment in the heat of the moment, I came to a stop, rolled down the window, and asked, "Where are you heading to, friend?"
No.
"Just up the road," he said in a deep, quiet tone. "Hop in," I called out the window. He opened the door to my Jeep and stepped inside slowly. Jeep Wranglers have very tight seals on the
Oh
doors,
my,
so when he
okay.
tried to close the door the first time, it didn't shut. I politely said, "Oh, the door didn't shut. Just open and slam it shut real hard. These doors are hard to close." The body language he was giving off in response was unsettling. About 3 seconds after I had finished my sentence, he looked at me, then turned his head slowly to the right, and again waited 3 or
Why?
4 more seconds before finally opening the door and then slamming
That's
it
a
back
long
shut.
time to wait. 4
By
seconds.
the way this
is
guy
more
was
than you think.
moving, I already regretted my decision to let him in. I put my foot on the gas and we started moving
That's
along
so
the
awkward.
road. The speed limit on this road was 55, but I was going 75 just to get the guy to his destination
75
quicker.
on a back road. Okay.
So,
This is intense.
how far did you say you're going? There was an awkward gap of silence before he replied. with,
Awkward gap of
"Just a
silence.
few
He's like,
miles
I know
up."
where I'm going.
I wanted to turn the radio
But I know
on
where
to
you're
kill
going,
this
too.
awkward and downright creepy silence, but something in my head told me not to for whatever reason. Suddenly, I could see just through the corner of my eye that the man had turned his head and was staring in my direction.
No, he's staring at him.
At this point, I was telling myself that I needed to get this guy
Get
out of my
Kick
car.
him out.
For a good mile, I
Pull
felt
it
his
Fast and the
gaze
Furious
just hitting me
2.
like a brick, and all the while I tried my best not to look back. Finally, he turned his head the other way and said, "You know, I've been wondering for the longest time if it's just worth it to end it all."
Why?
I looked at him in confusion.
Oh,
He dug his
no.
hand into his pocket and said, "I've been carrying this knife with me for the past few
knife?
weeks,
Okay, he's pulling a
wondering
switchblade.
when the
Okay.
right time would come." He pulled
dead.
out a big red knife from his pocket, and at that instant I felt like my stomach had
So you're gonna
dropped
die?
out of
Okay.
my body. I told him to put the knife away immediately. He told me in a calm, emotionless voice, "Pull over next to that sign." I did what he said, coming to a stop next to a speed limit sign, and what followed still haunts me. He began to slit his forearm next to 3 other scars from previous assumed
slit his forearm with a
self-inflicted
knife.
cuts and let out a disturbing moan.
Oh,
I
a
managed to
moan?
choke out the words, "You need to get out of
no.
my car right now, buddy." He looked at me again
Oh
and
my.
said, "Get out of the car."
He cut himself
I
a
want to
little
show you
moan.
something.
I can't do this.
I told him no,
This guy's a
and
freak,
he
man. I'm
raised
never
his
picking-
knife up
I'm never
closer to
picking
me
up a hitchhiker.
as an
Simple.
obvious threat. "Just get out for a second. There's something I want to show you behind that sign."
No.
I knew my life was on the line and I had to be smart. I said, "Yeah, okay, man. Let's go."
Hold up.
I opened the door to my Jeep, making a point of leaving it open,
smart.
raised my hands in the air and backed away slowly from the door. He too left the car and started walking over to my side. At the exact moment that he was directly behind the car, I jumped back in, threw it into drive, and floored it down the road,
it. Okay, good
never
job.
looking back.
He's seen
I
plenty of
got
scary
back
movies.
home
He
within
knows what
10
to
minutes,
do.
still breathing heavily and wanting to throw up. This was the scariest thing that has ever happened to me, and I urge everybody and anybody
I can't believe he
that if
cut
you
himself
by
like
some
that. That's
chance
rough.
see a hitchhiker on a dead road at some odd hours of the night, do not take any course of action other than speeding right past
speed
them.
past that, man. Alright guys, story number 3.
3 months after I turned 16 in 2005, I got my first car, a 99 Toyota Camry.
Brand new car.
On a warm Saturday night, when my friend Alex invited me over to one of his friend's big parties, I knew I wouldn't be in a condition to drive the Camry home afterward. So we carpooled with Alex's girlfriend, Brianna. We lived in the countryside of Virginia, meaning less big parties. Meaning when there was a big party, it was a huge deal and everyone would go. We lived about 5 to 10 minutes away from this kid's
West
house.
Virginia.
I knew where he
That's
lived as
probably
I
a
was
lot of
acquainted with
country.
him, but not exactly
Which
friends.
means...
The whole ride there,
lot
we
of
took the
flat
same
land.
2-lane highway type road through the woods, and this kid's house was actually on this road further down. At certain points on this road, there were a few houses on either side, and then it would just go back to being a long, empty highway again.
Empty highway.
The house was tiny, like a lot of houses around the area, but the party was held outside anyways, since his closest neighbors were relatively far away, and noise wasn't an issue. I'll skip most of the party up until the point that Brianna, who was supposed to be our designated driver, had to suddenly leave for a small family emergency. Alex said it was fine and that we'd find a ride home. Well, fast forward another few hours and another few drinks, and I could barely even walk straight.
Okay,
I
this
checked
man's
my
fading.
watch, and it was like 2 in the morning.
He's buzzing. He
I
can
figured
barely
it was
walk
time to
straight
go. I started looking for Alex, but I couldn't find him anywhere. In fact, it seemed like everybody I knew had already left. I could barely even think straight, but I was still furious at the fact that Alex could have actually left without me.
Okay, this man's
I
pissed
asked to
off
use
at
the
his
party
best friend
host's
for
phone
leaving
and
him at the
dialed
party.
Alex's home number. After 2 tries, I gave up and then realized I shouldn't wake his family up. So, literally not knowing what else to do, I dizzily stepped out onto the road and began walking back home.
No, he walked.
I knew this
why
walk
you
would take
do that?
anywhere from half an hour to an hour in my
Okay,
condition.
he's obviously drunk. That's a
Maybe after
ballsy
15
decision.
minutes of walking down the road, the slight shine of car headlights on the road was fading in from behind me. Jumping for joy inside, I lifted up my arm and stuck out my thumb.
Oh,
As
no.
the car neared, it slowed down and came to a stop right next to me.
So now he's the
The man driving the
hitchhiker.
98 Ford Explorer rolled down the window and asked where you headed. I told him my house was just down the road and beyond a right turn, probably slurring my words beyond comprehension. He chuckled and told me to hop in. I thanked him and joyously hopped into the truck.
Dumb mother.
I was exhausted, and I remember completely disregarding things the guy was asking
Bad
me because
move,
I was so
buddy.
close to just passing
That's
out.
a mistake right there.
And that's what happened. The memories of being in that truck turned to a fog as I'm sure I passed out. The next thing I remember, I woke up still in the moving truck. The guy looked at me and laughed, but didn't say anything. I looked
Yeah.
around and realized the road we were on wasn't familiar. I nervously asked, where are we going? He then said, so what were you doing out this late anyway?
He just ignores his question and goes
As the
straight to
man
his.
answered my very
Watch
straightforward
this.
question with another irrelevant question, the sobering reality
That's
of
an
the
obvious
situation
giveaway.
hit me. You can let me out anywhere, I told the man. The man responded with a firm no. I felt like throwing up as he said that.
Oh my.
No,
yep,
I
you feel like
really
throwing
actually
up.
felt like I was going to throw up.
Might as well at that point.
I started to gag as I felt more and more nauseous by the second. The man took his eyes off the road to look at me, and that's when I thought of the perfect distraction. I turned in his direction as I continued to gag, and he started to kind of lean away and slow down the car.
Oh,
Thankfully, I drank as much as I did because I finally threw up and made a point of doing it all
yep.
over the man's
Okay,
lap.
good job. Yep.
The man yelled in frustration and stopped the car, and that's when I took it upon myself to run for my life into the woods and duck behind a few bushes. The man came following into the woods with a flashlight, and on 2 separate occasions, he shined the light straight over me without noticing. Eventually, I heard his footsteps walk even further into the woods past me.
Why?
That was when I ran back to his truck, but unfortunately, he was smart enough to lock it.
He locked the truck, I'd be dead.
By some miracle, I saw another car approaching in the distance, and I ran out into the middle of the street, waving my arms like a lunatic. The car tried to avoid me, but I wouldn't let it. They were forced to stop, and I yelled at them to help me before they came back. Once I told them that I was kidnapped by the man who was driving that Ford Explorer, the driver agreed to give me a lift. Not to the police station or anything, but to my house. I made it back safely, where I couldn't thank the driver enough. I immediately woke up my parents and told them. My dad wanted to know if I got his tag number, and then I felt like punching myself in the face. I failed to get the simplest information from the guy that would have allowed me to actually properly report him. All I knew was that he drove a fake.
Alright, Slice Game, do your thing. Hit that like on the video. Gang! Slice Game, do your thing. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe. This is Jay Electric, and you guys are watching Slice Game TV, where I react to everything from the moon and back. And that was Creepy True Hitchhiking Stories. If you guys enjoyed this scary AF series, make sure to let me know in the comments if you guys want me to keep coming with these videos. I want to go ahead and announce that at 500 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away $100. So even if you hate my guts and hate my content completely, you might as well subscribe, because you might win $100 from me. And in the end, you'd win because you're getting my money. So I'm going to be coming at you guys with a video every single day, all summer 2020, or at least that's the goal, and if not, every other day. Also want to announce that I just got this brand new camera. This right here is a Nixon T100 camera. So the quality is going to be stepping up on Slice Game TV, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Next week, going to be coming at you guys with better videos. That right there wraps up this video. This is Jay Electric, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. Let's go!